Hello, today is November 18th. It's a Wednesday. We are halfway through the week and we are one day closer to the end of the trimester. Hopefully this video finds everybody in good health and good spirits. Here we go. For today's self-start, students will be going to this website. They'll be using this code, and you may use any name as long as it is appropriate. The quizzes is about adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing integers, which is what we've practiced the last couple of days. So you're welcome to go ahead and work on that. There's your thought for the day. You can hit pause and read it. As far as classroom information goes, there's not really too much to say. Make sure you get your feedback corrected and your blue packets turned in by Friday. And that, yeah. For today, we are going to, first off, review the quizzes self-start, just kind of look for common problems that students are having. For that part, you'll just have to do that on your own. We're going to be reviewing expressions today. This is something we did clear back in September. So it's been a couple months. So we're going to be reviewing how to combine like terms. We're going to be talking about simplifying by distributing or doing the rainbows. We're going to talk about factoring, and we're going to be talking about real-life expressions. So the first thing, simplify the expressions. So with this problem here, we're going to be looking for things to combine that are similar. When I look at it, I see a -5 here. This one does not have a variable, so I'm looking for any other terms that don't have a variable, and that one doesn't. So a -5 plus 11 would give me 6. Then I've got a 10e and a -e, which is going to give me an answer of 9e. Now notice I put the shapes around the sign that's in front of it. This kind of helps me determine positives and negatives. So 6 plus 9e or 9e plus 6, it depends on which order, either one's okay. Simplify by combining like terms. Okay, so don't let the parentheses fool you. That's just there to kind of group things, but it's not going to change anything. So first off, I've got a 5x and a 2x or plus 2x. So 5x plus 2x is going to give me 7x. I look and I see a y, but I don't see any other y's, so I'm just going to bring that down. And I see a -3. It doesn't have a variable, nothing else does, so I can't combine it with anything. So I'm going to plus the -3. Distributive property is when I do my rainbows. So if I see a number outside parentheses like this with nothing between it, that tells me do some rainbows. Woo! So whenever we do a rainbow, we're going to be multiplying those. So 10 times 3 would give me 30. And then my L, my variable. Woo! Rainbows. 10 times 5 is going to give me 50. So once again, remember, rainbows, we are multiplying. So this time we've got a negative. Woo! -6 times b would give me a -6b. Rainbow. -6 times 2 would give me a -12. So you could put your answer as -6b plus a -12, or if you were to say -6b minus 12, that would be okay as well. So now we have to do distributing and combining like terms. So we're going to start with parentheses first. Ooh, -5 times 2x gives me -10x. Ooh, -5 times 10 would give me a -50. And I'm not going to do my rainbow to this 20 because it's outside my parentheses, so I'm just going to bring it down. So now I can't combine the -10x with anything, so I'm going to bring it down. But I can combine the negative 50 and the positive 20, which is going to give me a negative 30. Factoring is doing the Wobmeyers, doing rainbows backwards. We need to find the GCF first. So factors of 5 would just be 5 and 1. Factors of 30 would be 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, and 6 and 5. So when I look at these numbers, the biggest number that they have in common is a 5. And that's what goes outside my parentheses. So I'm going to finish drawing my picture. If I take a 5 out of 5W, that gives me 1W. If I take a 5 out of 30, I'm left with 6. If you don't say 1W, if you just say W, that's okay as well. So I'm going to do it again. Factors of 14 are 1 and 14, and 2 and 7. Factors of 35 are 1 and 35, and 7 and 5. So the biggest number they have in common is 7. So I put that outside my parentheses, build my picture. If I take a 7 out of 14n, I'm left with 2n. If I factor a 7 out of 35, I'm left with 5. But there is one more thing they have in common. They both have a negative. So I can either put the negative on the outside because they have it in common, or if you were to leave the negative, then everything on the inside would have to have a negative as well. And there you go. For real life stuff, this is the part that students struggled with when we did our feedback clear back in September. So George, Macy, Cleo, Jackson, Trey, and Sam each bought a bag of chips from the vending machine for $1.25 and a candy bar for X dollars. What do we know? Well, first thing I know is that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people. I know that the chips were $1.25. Don't forget my decimal. And I know they bought a candy bar. What do we not know? We don't know how much money the candy was. What variable are we using? It doesn't matter what you choose. I'm just going to use X just because that's the most common. So let's just say it's just one person. Let's just say George. Forget about the rest of them. George gets a bag of chips for $1.25. And means add a candy bar, which is X. So that's just for George. But because we have 6 people going, we're just going to take that and we're just going to multiply it by 6. I know it's kind of hard to read because I wrote over it, but that's okay. So there you go. 6 people each, that means multiply, got chips and candy. Mark, Mavis, Mowgli went to the Bear River football game. Each person bought a ticket for X dollars, a foam finger for $5, and a soda for $3. Write 2 different expressions. We're going to forget about the write 2 different expressions. And let's just focus on, sorry, I got bugs flying around here. Let's just focus on just one. So what do we know? Well, we know that 3 people went. We know that they got a ticket. They each got a ticket. We know they got a foam finger for $5. And a soda for $3. So that's what we know. What do we don't know, we don't know how much the ticket was. So they just used the variable for X. So if I focus on just one person, let's say Mark. Mark got a ticket and a foam finger and a soda. That's just Mark. But now where 3 people went, we could just say that 3 people, each means multiply. So there's our parentheses. Got a ticket, a foam finger, and a soda. Okay, so we are going to stop right there. If you have any other questions, please feel free to contact your teacher, email them, Canvas, whichever you choose. Hopefully we see you guys back soon enough. Bye-bye.